When Little Red stopped to gather flowers for Grandmother, the wolf, who had thought of a plan to get the little girl for his dinner, said, "Goodbye," and trotted away. As soon as the wolf was out of sight, he began to run as fast as he could. In a short time, he reached the grandmother's cottage and knocked at the door. "Who is there?" asked the old grandmother as she lay in bed. "It is Little Red Riding Hood," answered the wolf. "I have brought you some butter and eggs and your favorite latte." "Unlatch the lock on the door, dear," said the old grandmother. So the wolf unlatched the door and sprang upon the poor old grandmother. He tied her up, shoved her into a sack, and hid the sack in a cupboard. Then he put on her nightcap and got into bed and lay down to wait for Little Red. Very soon there came a soft tap at the door. "Who is there?" called out the wolf. "It is Little Red, grandmother dear. I have brought you some butter and eggs and a latte." The wolf disguised his voice as much as he could and called, "Come in, dear." So Little Red Riding Hood went inside. "Good morning, dear grandmother," she said. "How are you feeling today?" "Very bad indeed, my dear," answered the wolf, trying to hide himself under the bedclothes. "How strange and hoarse your voice sounds, grandmother," said the little girl. "I have a bad cold, my dear," said the wicked wolf. "Grandmother, what very bright eyes you have!" exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood, surprised to see how strange her grandmother looked in her nightclothes. "The better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" "The better to hear you with, my child." "Grandmother, what very long arms you have!" "The better to hug you with, my dear." "But grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, who was beginning to get frightened. "The better to eat you with," roared the wolf. Suddenly jumping out of bed, he seized hold of poor Little Red and was about to eat her up. Just as he bared his sharp teeth, there was a loud noise from outside, and the door burst open. In rushed the lumberjacks, who had seen the wolf talking to the little girl in the woods. They were suspicious and came to see what mischief the wolf was up to. Upon seeing the lumberjacks, who were armed with sharp axes, the wolf ran away as fast as he could. Little Red then thanked the lumberjacks and said she'd take it from there. She sent them on their way and untied the sack her grandmother was stuffed into. Little Red administered some basic CPR. Her grandmother was just fine. Little Red Riding Hood and grandmother could hardly wait to tell everyone about their terrible adventure. As soon as grandmother was better, they had a big party to celebrate. They invited the lumberjacks, their woodlands neighbors, and a local news crew. The news producer liked Little Red so much that they decided they should have their own reality show. As for Wolf, well, he realized that being a carnivore had almost gotten him killed via axe. So he decided to change his ways and opened up Woodland's first vegetarian restaurant, which he called Big Bad's Place. Diners enjoyed the food and the accordion music. Little Red Riding Hood went there frequently to film episodes of her show, Little Red's Hood.